so pleased to be joined by Morgan Thompson, and joining us from the left coast, James Hirsen, our right-thinking man on the left coast, the author of the Left Coast Report. James, it's so good to have you with us.
Good to be with you. Good morning.
James, rapper Nelly, a Ferguson native, traveled back to his hometown recently. He said of Eric Holder's visit to his hometown, quote, "Holder understood that the trust and communication in our city is broken. We need to stop the loss of lives of our young people, and we discussed the importance of building bridges between city leaders, community members." Are we building these bridges through the high-powered presence of people like Eric Holder and celebrities weighing in, or are we seeing messages from celebrities that might really deal more with burning bridges than building them?
Well, it seems like we have an entire industry, two industries, in fact, who profit from burning bridges and from basically fanning the fuels, the flames, if you will, of what's going on in Ferguson. First of all, the 24-hour hyper-competitive media is reporting, I mean, there's been breaking news. A water bottle was thrown. It's like a reality show down there. And of course, we have people like Al Sharpton who profit from the perpetuation of the tension. And for celebrities to weigh in, one of the key components is the social media. Nelly, the rapper, was highly criticized. As you mentioned, his hometown is St. Louis, and other rappers were too, because they were spending more time reacting to the death of Robin Williams than they were to Ferguson. And in a way, Nelly was goaded into his activism, if you will, by the fact that he hadn't spoke out. And it's a very dangerous situation because the tension is high and the social media is so available to celebrities. And in many cases, they're not well informed. They don't use words wisely. And you know, this is a new phenomenon when we have this kind of tension. It's in addition to the way the media turns it into tabloid exaggeration, we have the potential for hot exchanges going on places like Facebook and Twitter.
So, Mr. Hirsen, speaking of hot exchanges, Kevin Sorbo referred to the protesters in Ferguson as animals, and music star John Legend fired off a response, saying, quote, "Calling us animals has been the language to justify slavery, Jim Crow, and all manner of injustice, dehumanizations, and racism. These all go together." So what's your response to that?
I love John Legend's singing.
I do too.
I really, I mean, he sings better. But, you know, the fact is he was also responding to a reported quote from a police officer who used that term. Mm-hmm. And this is what I'm talking about. When celebrities utilize the social media and it becomes a celebrity feud like that, that can then translate into problems in the streets. And this, you know, we know that a significant percentage of the people that are protesting in Ferguson are from out of the area and are seen to be trying to fan the flames, trying to create, you know, problems with the police. And look, they're protesting an investigation, and the investigation hasn't completed. And so, so much of the publicity takes away the impartiality of this investigation and the ability of the accused police officer to achieve something all Americans care about. We call it due process, and we need to respect due process.
So I don't know if you're familiar with Greg Howard's essay, but it's entitled "America is Not for Black People." And one of the things he discussed is the actual militarization of the police. And he's saying we're going from community police forces into turning it basically a war zone, our communities. And what do you think about this? Do you think that plays a role?
Well, there's a legitimate discussion to be had about militarization of the police. Even, you know, Republicans like Rand Paul have brought it up. And that is that the police are not the same as the military, and their function is completely different. Their training is completely different. And there is something that happens to people when they dress up as soldiers. And so it's a worthy discussion. However, when you have a situation where the National Guard is called out and you have property and people in danger because of a situation that resembles anarchy, there's nothing else the police can do but, at least to some extent, resemble the military. I mean, we certainly don't want to see tanks rolling out there in the streets of Ferguson.
James Hirsen, we certainly appreciate your point of view, coming as it does from the left coast, but you supply us with a generous dose of right thinking from the left coast. So thanks again for checking in, Skyping in this morning from LA.
My pleasure. You have a wonderful weekend.
You too, Jim. Well, we need to talk about a classic moment in American history, and it was a moment involving our military. June 6th, 1944, the subject of this American moment.
By mid-1944, German military occupation engulfed the continent of Europe, while across the English Channel, an armada of men and equipment was preparing to take it back. On the 5th of June, Allied armies from the United States, Great Britain, and Canada joined those from Australia, Belgium, Czechoslovakia, France, Greece, New Zealand, Norway, Poland, and the Netherlands, and set sail for the Normandy coast. But they weren't all soldiers. At morning's first light, London bureau chief for the future NBC radio network, George Hicks, broadcasting live from the deck of an American ship, provided Americans back home with a front row seat.
Here we go again, another plane come over. Right over our port side. Rangers are making an arc right over our bow now.
Supreme Allied Commander General Dwight D. Eisenhower also used that same venue, radio, to inspire both his troops and the nations they were being sent to set free.
The tide has turned. The free men of the world are marching together to victory.
The date was D-Day, June 6th, 1944. You're watching An American Moment on Newsmax TV.